The 7 most mysterious archaeological discoveries in Ireland that will shock you. Hello friends, Ireland! With its pristine natural beauty and ancient monuments, it has always been a treasure trove of endless discoveries. But did you know that beneath the earth, there are archaeological finds that have left even scientists astounded? From mysteries about ancient civilizations, strange artifacts, to ancient tombs hidden for thousands of years, all waiting for you to explore. In today's video, we'll take a look at some of the most mysterious archaeological discoveries in Ireland that will leave you questioning your own eyes. These strange stories and epic discoveries are sure to amaze you. So now, let's see what secrets await you on this journey to explore Ireland. Beheaded 2,500-year-old corpse found in a bog. In October 2023, a shocking discovery occurred at a peat bog in Beleggy, Northern Ireland, when the Northern Ireland Police Service announced the finding of human bone fragments. Initially, authorities suspected this might be evidence of a murder case, but after thorough analysis, experts determined that these remains were not those of a modern murder victim, but of someone who lived about 2,500 years ago. Detective Inspector Nicky Dehan, who was in charge of the investigation, shared that the 2,500-year-old remains were remarkably well preserved in the bog environment. As a result, part of the skin, fingernails from the left hand, toenails, and one of the kidneys were still intact. The bone fragments were scattered, and the skull was missing. Nevertheless, analysis by experts showed that the remains likely belonged to a male, aged between 13 and 17 at the time of death. Detective Dehan further mentioned that the well-preserved remains allowed experts to use carbon isotope dating to determine the time of death. This would be the first time carbon isotope dating was used to determine the age of bog remains in Northern Ireland. The dating process was carried out at the 14 Chrono Centre at Queen's University, Belfast. The results later revealed that the individual had died between 2,000 and 2,500 years ago. Notably, Dr. Alistair Ruffle, who led the research team, explained that experts conducted 2 high-resolution ground-penetrating radar surveys at the bog and discovered the remains at a depth of about 3.3 feet below the current surface, consistent with the radiocarbon estimates. Additionally, the bone fragments were found between a cluster of fossilized trees, indicating that the person may have died and was then buried in the grassy area or bushes, or possibly swept into that location through natural processes. Over 3,000-year-old special tomb. On the Dingle Peninsula, County Kerry, Ireland, archaeologists discovered an ancient Bronze Age tomb. This event occurred when workers using mechanical excavators overturned a large stone, revealing the mysteries hidden beneath the ground. The tomb contained human remains and an unusual oval-shaped stone, which has led researchers to raise many questions about its purpose and significance. Archaeologists estimate that the tomb dates back about 2,500 to 4,500 years during the Bronze Age in Ireland. However, further investigation is needed before they can narrow down its exact age. Experts speculate that the tomb could be from the Bronze Age, but there is still no convincing evidence regarding its exact date. At this stage, they don't have a complete picture. Ronan Casey, a spokesperson for the National Monument Service of Ireland, stated that they had sent a sample of the remains to a lab for radiocarbon analysis, which could provide a more accurate time range for the burial, but this process will take several weeks. One of the most unusual discoveries in this ancient tomb is a smoothed oval-shaped stone. Its purpose is unclear, but it was placed next to the human remains, so archaeologists have ruled out the possibility that it was used for safekeeping. Ireland is home to many known stone tombs from the Bronze Age. There are numerous sites and monuments from this period on the Dingle Peninsula. However, this new discovery stands out because what has been found so far seems different from other ancient tombs in the region. Ireland has thousands of ancient monuments and burial sites. The most famous is the tomb at Newgrange, located beside the Boyne River about 25 miles north of Dublin, where sunlight during the winter solstice shines down the passageway to illuminate a deep chamber inside. Recent research suggests that one of the Bronze Age individuals buried in the Newgrange tomb was a descendant of ancient royalty. Newgrange is just one of many tombs in the Newgrange Burial Complex, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Some of these tombs date back more than 5,000 years, making them older than the ancient Stonehenge and the oldest pyramids in Egypt. However, the recently discovered tomb on the Dingle Peninsula has unusual characteristics compared to other monuments in the area. Archaeologists are continuing to investigate and have sent the remains for radiocarbon analysis to determine the exact age. This process will take a few weeks, and the results may reveal more fascinating information about the ancient people who lived in Ireland thousands of years ago. What do you think about the strange stone found in this tomb? Could it have been a tool used in rituals, or is there another purpose we haven't yet discovered? Personally, I believe this is certainly an intriguing question and an opportunity to expand our understanding of Ireland's Bronze Age history and culture, as well as the world's. More than 400-year-old cannons. In recent months, an extraordinary archaeological discovery has stirred the historical and maritime research community when a series of cannons, along with many valuable artifacts, were found at the bottom of the sea off the northwest coast of Ireland. After the Spanish shipwreck, La Juliana was revealed by storms over the past 2 years. This discovery not only brings fascinating stories from the past, but also sheds light on historical mysteries from a turbulent period, specifically the invasion of the Spanish Armada in 1588. The ship La Juliana, known as one of the large vessels in the Armada, met its demise after being struck by violent waves and storms. The ship had previously transported goods between Spain and Italy before being requisitioned by King Philip II of Spain to participate in the invasion aimed at overthrowing Queen Elizabeth I. Weighing 860 tons, La Juliana could carry up to 32 cannons and over 300 soldiers, along with 70 sailors. The cannons discovered on the seabed, perfectly preserved for over 400 years, appear as if time has not diminished their marks. Notably, one of the cannons recently brought ashore is engraved with the image of Saint Matrona, the patron saint of Catalonia and Barcelona, and bears the year 1570, which is also the year La Juliana was built. Archaeologists have stated that despite being buried on the seabed for centuries, the cannons remain in excellent condition, partly due to their protection in the underwater environment. This also reflects the advanced weapon-making techniques of the 16th century, with products from this era still remarkably durable. This discovery is not just an archaeological treasure, but also a vivid reminder of Spain's failure in its attempt to invade England. After the historic Battle of Gravelines, the Spanish Armada was defeated and faced devastating storms off the coast of Ireland, sinking many of its ships, including La Juliana. The waters off the coast of Ireland became a graveyard for the fleet, with 1/3 of the 63 ships in the Armada being destroyed. Ireland's Minister for Arts, Heritage and the Gaeltacht, Heather Humphreys, expressed her excitement upon visiting the area, saying, "We've uncovered a wonderful and highly significant treasure, over 425 years old. These artifacts clearly have great historical and archaeological value. The recovery work is expected to take several weeks, while security forces have been deployed to protect the area and prevent treasure hunters from intruding." The mysterious ancient temple complex. Navan Fort, a prominent site in Northern Ireland, has long been regarded as a sacred area of great historical and cultural significance to the region. Located outside Armagh, the capital of ancient Ulster, Navan Fort has captured the attention of archaeologists for many decades. However, recent discoveries have revealed a surprising new secret. Beneath the ground of the fort, there may be massive Iron Age temples and medieval buildings, offering a fresh perspective on its critical role in history. Specifically, the latest research shows that these structures were uncovered using modern remote sensing techniques like LiDAR, which uses laser beams to map the surface and detect underground anomalies. As a result, a series of Iron Age temples and buildings from the medieval period were discovered, suggesting that Navan Fort was not only the residence of the elite, but also a highly important religious center. Patrick Gleeson, senior lecturer in archaeology at Queen's University Belfast, noted that Navan Fort was a center of power, supreme culture, and a key religious site during the pre-Christian era. Since the 1960s, archaeologists have recognized it as a complex religious site linked to rituals and religious activities of the ancient people during the late Bronze Age and Iron Age, from around 1000 BCE to 400 CE. One of the exciting discoveries is the existence of enormous temples built with a unique structural design. After constructing a 130 feet wooden structure around 95 BCE, the ancient people filled it with stone and set it alight, creating a massive mound that remains visible today. The tops of these 8-shaped buildings have a diameter of about 82 feet, with a smaller diameter at the bottom of around 33 feet. Each building is within an even larger circle, measuring about 459 feet in diameter. These enormous temples are considered to be some of the largest and most complex ritual structures from prehistoric and pre-Roman times in Northern Europe. The repeated use of the number 8 motif may even have cosmological significance, suggesting that these structures were indeed related to religious practices. Although Navan Fort was once believed to be primarily a royal residence without any distinct religious elements, these recent discoveries have shifted that viewpoint. Archaeologists have shown that this area was not only a political center, but also the site of important religious rituals. This discovery highlights the significance of Navan Fort in Irish history and may change how we understand the ancient cultures of the region. The Fairy Fort. On many hills and plains in the northwest of Ireland, ancient stone-ringed structures still exist, believed by the locals to have been built by fairies. Out of fear of angering the fairies, no one has dared disturb a blade of grass or stone here throughout history. As a result, over 32,000 of these fairy forts remain intact today, attracting many visitors to explore them. The term fairy fort refers to the remains of ancient circular or concentric stone structures found throughout the remote northwest of Ireland. Most of these structures are covered by earth and vegetation, making them appear as old stone foundations, ruined, or earthen mounds. Irish folklore holds that these fairy forts are the homes and dwellings of fairies. In Irish mythology, fairies are portrayed as mythical beings with immense magical power, but they only use their abilities for their own benefit. Because they enjoy peace and quiet, fairies are said to punish anyone who disturbs or causes noise at their dwelling with brutal methods, such as destroying property, kidnapping loved ones, or even taking lives. In 1930, when the most famous Irish science writer Paddy Gannon was still a student, he contributed a folk tale related to the fairy fort that he had collected from his hometown. The story recounts how two brothers from the dull town of Kilmaine, John and Tom Mooney, needed to build a house. While searching for an appropriate location, John accidentally discovered a perfect fairy fort to restore and turn into a home. Immediately, John called Tom, and the two brothers began clearing the grass and trees around the fort. While they worked, they vaguely heard cries but paid no attention. A priest passing by warned them not to continue, but they ignored him, and by the next morning, both brothers were dead under mysterious circumstances. Since then, it was believed that the brothers had been punished by the fairies. Archaeologist Matthew Stout remarked, "The story that Gannon collected is just one variant in the fairy fort theme. Irish folklore contains many tales surrounding this theme, but they all share the same plot. Anyone who disturbs a fairy fort will suffer illness, lose limbs, or die." Of course, no archaeologist believes that the fairy forts were built by mythical beings. In the 20th century, both Irish and international archaeologists frequently visited the northwest of the island, searching for and excavating this system. Eventually, they concluded that the fairy forts are the remains of ancient civil structures, dating back as early as the 6th to 7th centuries BCE. By 1991, Irish archaeologists estimated that there were about 30,000 to 40,000 fairy forts in the northwest, most of which date from the 7th to 9th centuries. During this period, Northwest Ireland was home to over 200 small kingdoms, each about the size of a village. The economy of these kingdoms was based on livestock farming. Initially, fairy forts were not just stone foundations, but also included ditches, walls, and even wooden fences. In essence, these were round shelters with an outer ditch, followed by a fence made of stone and wood, and a central space for livestock and a round dwelling for humans, explained Stout. The fairy forts were not military fortifications or impregnable castles, but simple shelters for people and their livestock, providing protection from harsh weather and predators. When dating the fairy forts, it was found that no structures were built after the 12th century. Through much reasoning and debate, Irish scholars agree that the cause was the Vikings. Around the 850s, the Vikings established the first town in Ireland. Skilled in seafaring and trade, they introduced various types of grain to the island, providing an alternative to the local diet, which was heavily dependent on milk and meat. Grain was cheaper than livestock farming, which led to a decline in the number of people practicing pastoralism, while the number of abandoned shelters increased. Over time, the walls of these shelters decayed, and the ditches were filled with earth, leaving only the stone foundations. As you can imagine, Any abandoned structure soon became associated with spirits and supernatural beings, especially during a time when Irish folklore was rich with tales of revenge, mischief, and punishment by fairies and spirits. Today, the Irish no longer believe in fairies, but they still avoid disturbing the fairy forts. Even when simply removing a thorn bush from the stone foundation, they remain cautious. Ironically, it is this superstition that has saved these forts from being exploited for agriculture or construction. As a result, around 32,000 fairy forts remain in the northwest of Ireland, all preserved as historical sites that attract both archaeologists and visitors interested in folklore. 200-million-year-old dinosaur fossils. Archaeologists have recently reported a groundbreaking discovery of two 200-million-year-old dinosaur specimens in Ireland, marking an important milestone in the study of the island's ancient life. In the 1980s, fossil collector Roger Byrne found several unusual bone fragments along the eastern coast of County Antrim in Northern Ireland. He kept these fragments for many years before deciding to donate them to the Ulster Museum in Belfast. After decades of waiting, the mystery surrounding these specimens was finally uncovered thanks to recent research. This discovery was confirmed by paleontologists from the University of Portsmouth and Queen's University, who identified these as the first dinosaur traces ever found in Ireland. According to Mike Sims, the lead researcher and paleontologist at the Northern Ireland Museum, this is an extremely significant discovery because finding dinosaur fossils in Ireland is very rare. This is due to the fact that most rocks in Ireland are too young to preserve fossils, making the discovery of dinosaur bones a tremendous challenge. Using high-resolution 3D fossil analysis technology, the research team discovered that the specimens belong to two different dinosaur species. One is an armored herbivorous dinosaur with dense, strong bones, while the other is a fast-moving carnivorous dinosaur with a slender bone structure known as a theropod. The analysis indicates that the herbivorous four-legged dinosaur is a member of the genus Scelidosaurus, while the carnivorous theropod is Sarcosaurus. Interestingly, the discovery of another Scelidosaurus fossil in marine strata supports the hypothesis that this armored dinosaur genus might have lived near the ocean and may have even eaten seaweed, similar to modern-day iguanas. This discovery not only expands our understanding of the ancient dinosaur species, but also provides deeper insights into the marine ecosystem during that period. The Ulster Museum plans to display these two dinosaur specimens, the first ever found in Ireland, once COVID-19 restrictions on large gatherings are lifted. This will surely be an exciting destination for those fascinated by ancient history and the remarkable creatures that once roamed the earth. 1,000-year-old ink pen reveals secular culture in ancient Ireland. While excavating an ancient fortress in Ireland, archaeologists discovered a 1,000-year-old ink pen. This finding exceeded all expectations, revealing the development of secular writing practices during the medieval period in the British Isles. According to Dr. Michelle Comber, an archaeologist at the National University of Ireland, Galway, who discovered the pen at the Caherconnell Stone Fort in Cashel, County Clare, the artifact is made of bone, hollow in the center, and has a copper alloy nib. Since the fortress was home to wealthy landowners, a class likely literate, it's not surprising that the pen was found there. However, what is striking about this discovery is that the artifact was found in a secular context rather than a religious one. Caherconnell Fort in Cashel was renovated and expanded by local rulers until the early 17th century. The structure spans 459 feet, with walls 13 feet high and 10 feet thick. Radiocarbon dating revealed that the fort was constructed in the 10th century. The residents here, who grew wealthy from agriculture, occupied the site until the 1600s. According to a report in the Clare Herald, the pen was found among a collection of fine craft tools, metal artwork, commercial goods, games, and musical instruments. It stands out among other items found at the site, as pens are typically discovered at religious sites in Ireland, where they were used to write ancient texts, showcasing unique medieval calligraphy skills. The most famous of these is the Book of Kells, created around 800 AD. This illuminated manuscript of the Gospel in Latin includes the 4 canonical Gospels of the New Testament, along with marginal notes and charts. With its intricate and colorful illustrations, the Book of Kells is regarded as a masterpiece of Western calligraphy and one of Ireland's most treasured artifacts. In fact, most of the known evidence of writing in Ireland is associated with the church, and no pens of this type had been found before. This led Dr. Comber to question the artifact's purpose, prompting her to collaborate with experimental archaeologist Adam Parsons to create a replica of the pen to determine if it could function as a writing instrument, specifically a dip pen. The tests revealed that it was a pen without a reservoir, unlike the quills commonly used during the 11th century. Some pen nibs made from copper alloy, dating back to Roman Britain, have been discovered, with others from the 13th to 16th centuries. However, Dr. Comber noted that the Caher-Connell pen made of bone and metal is the first known example of a composite pen ever discovered in the British Isles. In fact, this pen was not used for religious art in medieval Ireland, but for recording genealogies and commercial information. Calligrapher and historian Tim O'Neill believes the design of the Caher-Connell pen was ideally suited for delicate work. It could have even been used to draw fine lines, as the copper alloy nib would dip into ink and be convenient for forming straight lines, such as drawing borders for a page. One could argue that the creation of dip pens was a significant step in the formation of human civilization, as writing allows us to generate new ideas, share old ones, and learn through practical methods. The earliest ink-written text ever discovered was inscribed on papyrus around 2600 BC in Egypt. Hollow reed pens, filled with ink and gently squeezed to release the ink as they wrote, were used. Over time, reeds and rushes were replaced by bird feathers. Between the 7th and 19th centuries AD, Europeans preferred pens made from the stiff, dense feathers of swans, turkeys, and geese. According to a brief history of pens from the Journal Shop, medieval English scribes carefully removed any natural oils that might cause ink to smudge before shaping the feathers with a sharp knife. The quality of the pen's nib played a crucial role in the resolution of the final writing. As a result, it was often said that a writer needed a high-quality knife to produce good writing. So we've just explored some fascinating archaeological discoveries in Ireland, from ancient idols to mysterious remains. Each find opens new doors to the past, leaving us in awe of the mysteries of history. Were you surprised by these discoveries? Feel free to share your thoughts, and let's continue following the historical secrets from this legendary land. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.